Okay, so very cool. I ran across an article, a video on YouTube. Probably be taken down. I'm not going to tell you the content of the video. You probably already know by the way I just said it'll be taken down. But it's from the government of El Salvador. Um, and anyway, they discuss an issue that will be censored, but nonetheless, they do talk about some health things that you can do. And I think it's the first government right now on the planet that actually says, you know what, nuts to everything else, essentially terrain theory. So, terrain theory says, and it was a competing theory to Pasteur's theory. And essentially it says if you take care of the body, um, it will take care of itself, kind of thing. All right. So, anyway, here's a couple of points they made. Maintain a healthy and balanced diet. What is that? I mean, that's the crux of the entire thing. If you knew what a healthy diet was, well, of course, you would try to eat it, wouldn't you? And for the last 50 years, the United States Department of Agriculture has come out with their little pyramid suggesting that a high carb, low fat, low salt, very low protein diet is the best thing. Well, look where we've gone in 50 years. I'm not going to talk any more about it. I'm going to tell you, do the opposite. I would strongly recommend, not because I'm a doctor, not because I'm trying to diagnose an illness, and not because I care if anyone lives or dies. That's up to God. That's, I mean, sorry, I'm Catholic. It's up to God. However, I do care in the sense that if you would do what you're told, but if you were told correctly, you'd look like me in 7, 8 months. All right, because I'm no different than anyone else. I didn't do anything different. But I did. I ate probably 30 to 40% protein, and almost the rest was fats, good fats, butter, lard, olive oil are the three biggies. And then whatever fats came with all the meats that I eat, because I eat as few carbs as possible. The only carbs I get might be on maybe a strawberry here and there, a couple of nuts. I don't really eat any other fruits. No, none at all. I mean, I was thinking every once in a while if I see a raspberry or a blueberry, I'll go ahead and munch on those. I mean, that's the limit of my quote-unquote fruits, all right? Fruits and nuts. Any of the other carbs come from salad, broccoli, cauliflower, and whatnot. So if you're talking about balance, I got tons of balance. I got meats, I got green leafy vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, of course, and plenty of fats. Well, there's my balanced diet, and obviously it's working. Hello? All right? Geez, you can see the line here. This is crazy. It used to be like all fat and inflamed. All right, so the second thing they say, try to get to your ideal body weight. Well, let me just tell you, if you eat right, your body will find its homeostasis, same place. It will find balance. Dr. Berg says this, and I didn't understand it at first, now I do. He said, you don't lose weight to get healthy. You have to get healthy to lose weight. So when you're eating the correct or proper human diet, you will automatically go to your weight. I mean, I was sitting there 125 kilos. I did the eat less, do more. At least 3 or 4 kilos was pure water. And then within 2 or 3 months, I hit a plateau, and there I stayed for 6 months. Couldn't budge, couldn't move. No matter what I ate less of and whatever I did more of. I'm just glad I didn't wreck my metabolism. And then I found intermittent fasting. Now, whatever diet you need to get you there is really the crux. I am what I would consider more than keto, carnivore, all that. I would consider myself a time-controlled eater. I eat once a day now. Now, how do I do that? Well, I'm fat adapted. Well, how do you do that? There you have to adopt a keto or other lifestyle that will get you to a point where you don't have cravings and you don't have hunger. And you eat all your calories in one sitting, or at least within a 4-hour window. Okay, fine. So your weight will fall automatically. Drink at least 2 liters of water a day. Now, you give a child 2 liters of water a day, and his electrolytes will fall so low that he may be in peril. My dad had a problem, and he misunderstood directions from the doctor, which he followed implicitly, and it turned out that I think he was drinking 8 ounces of water an hour. And of course that sent him to the hospital with obviously diluted electrolytes, right? Coffee, sorry, gotta have it, love it. Essentially he had water poisoning, and yes, you can kill yourself with too much water. Dr. Berg says, drink when you're thirsty. You'll have all the water you need, friends. Cut down on stress by spending time on yourself. You cut down on stress, yeah, but spending time on yourself, I don't know what that means. Does that mean quit a job that's causing you a lot of stress and making you crazy? See, I have alarms. That's part of some of my non-stress. Then I don't have to memorize things, and I don't get stressed out about it. The alarm goes off, I know I have to deal with something, and I do. Also breathing. Cut down on stress. Why don't you breathe? Try this. Just breathe in 4 seconds, breathe out 6 seconds. So in 4 seconds, out 6 seconds. And at the same time, this is interesting, take your pulse rate. Let's wait for the clock. I love my clock. It's wonderful. Feel your pulse, right? As you breathe in, it'll speed up a little bit. And then as you breathe out, it should like totally drastically slow. So it's like, okay, if you don't have that, what's called heart rate variability, you are in trouble. You're just loaded with cortisol, and you need to deal with that. And that's the idea of cutting down, spending time on yourself. And of course, I believe it, that same thing they said, do exercise. Well, you don't exercise to lose weight, so get that out of your heads. You exercise to actually help your brain, to get body fluids moving around the body. You exercise in order to reduce cortisol. Now, I would recommend, like Dr. Berg does, that you do aerobic exercise. That means that you're not out of breath while you're doing it. All right, that'll keep cortisol low. Here, next one, try to sleep at least 6 hours per night. I just slept 9.5 hours last night. I feel great. I go to bed about 10. I wake up 7:30. And I go to bed because I'm tired. And then I go to bed, right? If you can't get to sleep, find out why. And I don't mean a medical intervention. I mean, do you need to write things down? Do you need to read a little bit? Do you need to get off your stupid devices? Is the blue light keeping your melatonin levels from coming up? Because as melatonin comes up, cortisol has to go down. And it's quite interesting. It's a very sharp increase, and then the descent. Actually, throughout the day, your melatonin levels build, and then you finally sleep, and it drops off like a cycloid. I found that actually fascinating. Most of the melatonin is used up right away in the first couple hours of sleep, and then you have to kind of coast for the rest of the time. So I would recommend getting 8, but I can't. Well, you're going to have to, or get sick and die. I don't know what to tell you. Include citrus fruits. No, you don't need fruits. I'm going to tell you right now, you don't need fruits. Why? Okay, you tell me. Banana, potassium, orange, vitamin C. Okay, so they're always whining about potassium and vitamin C, right? So here we go. Really? I mean, that's what they talk about. There's no fruits that you've heard of that give you calcium, right? So we don't need to deal with that. By the way, if you need calcium, the next time you cook an egg, what I suggest you do strongly is to go ahead and I've had luck with this. I take the egg shell and I'll rinse it and I'll let it dry, and then I microwave it a little bit just to kind of make sure, I guess, whatever if there's bugs or something on it. And then I put it in a molcajete, which is a Mexican pestle and mortar, but it's made of stone, and I grind the eggshell into a fine calcium powder. It's also got collagen. And I take a little bit of that, put it on my tongue, drink it down. I don't chew it, it's gritty. But in the stomach acid, your body will dispatch with that very quickly. But back on fruits. If I said banana, everyone says, oh, because of the potassium. Eat an avocado. That's a fruit, and it's got way more potassium than your stupid banana. And it won't spike insulin, and it'll give you satiety, and it's full of fat, and it's just absolutely, like, I don't want to call it a miracle food, but I would call it a miracle food. Oh, and vitamin C, there's more broccoli, ounce per ounce, in broccoli than an orange in vitamin C, the complex. As a matter of fact, if you can stand eating chilies, Mexican chilies, jalapenos, for example, weight by weight have way more vitamin C than oranges do. So you need to look at your green leafy vegetables. That has everything a fruit will have in it. And if that's your thing. And they say, never drink juices, please. Would you eat 6 oranges? Honestly, if I gave you 6 oranges for breakfast and said you need to eat all 6 of those oranges, remember when you'd get sick by the time you finished them? I know I would. All right? Even when I loved oranges, man. I just don't eat them anymore. Would you eat 6? I don't think so. Then why in the heck do you squish them down into a 16-ounce glass and down it? That's ridiculous. Do not do that. You are doing horrible things to your liver that way. But God, they can. And I'm going to come back to all these little things. This face I have right here. I'm going to come back to that. You'll see. Avoid alcohol, period. Why drink? There's no reason. Well, the doctor, there's evidence that says you drink a glass of white wine and you're going to live. And that was called the French paradox. See, all these dumb things we do is because of some stupid story. I mean, most people criticize the Bible. Oh, that's just some dumb story from 2,000 years ago. Well, here's a real dumb story. Turns out the French love foie gras, which is fatty liver. They actually feed geese a mixture of corn and, things we're not supposed to eat, right? But essentially they feed the goose the standard American diet, right? The standard Western diet, the SAD. And this goose's liver gets really big and fat, and they wind up giving it diabetes is what actually happens. And so they slaughter the goose just for that liver. And the French drink wine like they drink water. Well, turns out that the saturated fats in that liver are actually very good for them. The French got a lot of satiety. They weren't big on eating a bunch of carbs. Oh, they would eat bread with their meal, but not like we do. My God, look at your pizza. You eat a whole pizza, you're eating a loaf of bread. They don't eat a loaf of bread over there, man. French are dainty. They're cultured. They're not savages. They don't just rom, com. And their meals last hours. They sit and they relax and they enjoy life and they talk with people. Okay? So, everything's slower and gentler. That's where that stupid wine story came from. No, alcohol's horrible. Don't do it. It'll kill your liver. Okay? All right. Well, like I said, I'm coming. See that face? I'm coming back to that. Okay. All foods high in sugar are saturated fats. I agree. Get rid of the sugar. Get rid of the grains. That's everything. Grain. Rice. Bread. Tortillas. Whatever other. Pizza. I mean, you can eat the cheese and the pepperoni. Boom. Send that right down. If the sauce has no added sugar in it, you can eat the sauce. Wow. Just pure tomatoes and spices? Dudes, have you ever had that? It's delicious. Don't freak out about salt. Eat salt to taste. Your body knows what it's doing. And saturated fat, guys, if I had a big bunch of fat, I would show you. That's saturated fat. That's how animals store fat, store energy, as in saturated fat. That's what we use to burn, okay? Fruits and vegetables store their energy in the form of starch. And I swear to God, there was this person on one of the YouTube channels. Well, if you make your rice the day before and you cool it down and then you reheat it, it'll become resistant. Guys, unless you have a nuclear reactor and you bombard this rice with neutrons, you're not going to increase or decrease the amount of carbohydrate it has, okay? Just because it tastes different to you, just because your body busts it down a little different, by the time it enters here and you go, okay, you will have absorbed all of those carbohydrates. I couldn't care less about the speed at which that happens. Okay, that's just going to manage blood sugar and insulin a little. But at the end of the day, you want to reduce that anyway, get rid of it. So if you're really freaking out about, saturated fats, I would freak out about refined carbs. Rice is a refined carb. Juice is a refined carb. Flour is a refined carb. Anything that you can't pick up out of it. You want to eat rice? I'll let you eat rice. You go to wherever they grow rice, and I want you to pull that piece of grass out of the ground. If you don't want to chew on the root, you can clip that off. Now you eat that entire piece of grass, including the little kernel, the little seed of rice. Then I will let you eat rice. Oh, I don't want that. That's how God packaged it. There was this guy, Lustig, I think his name is. He's an activist. I'm not an activist. I don't use the law to force my way on people like he does. But he is correct when he says, when God makes the poison, that is the rice kernel, okay, because of the carbohydrate load and the fact that your body needs to get rid of glucose because it's very, very bad for you. Nobody's ever died of too much fat. They always die of, he has like 300, 400, 500 sugar in his blood. Yeah, that'll kill you. He says when God makes the poison, he puts it in the antidote. He covers it in the antidote, and that's the grass. So if you want to eat all that fiber with your rice, go for it. Big fan. You want to eat the entire orange, go for it. The cascara, the shell of the orange gets a little bitter and pithy, and it might be a little nasty, but yeah, if you ate the whole orange, there's no problem at all. Your body will manage it. You get sick to your stomach, but other than that, okay, so this high in sugar and saturated fat stuff, you know what? That's all neat, that's fun, but do get rid of sugars. Do get rid of all refined carbohydrates. That would be all grains and all those seed oils. They are not vegetable oils, just not a vegetable in them. They used to be motor oil at the turn of the last century, and somebody figured out, wait, we can bleach it and make it taste better. All right, so it's really high in what they call omega-6s, and it's very inflammatory. So you cut those three things alone, and you're way ahead of the game. Replace any fats with good, natural, saturated, or monounsaturated fats. Like olive oil is actually a monounsaturated; it just has one bend, which is why it's liquid at room temperature. But it will clog up when you put it in the fridge. Give it a shot. Put olive oil in the fridge and watch it. It'll actually condense. It'll coagulate, and then bring it back out to room temperature, and it'll relax a little bit. Saturated fats tend to hold a little harder, but they also, I believe, above 80, my coconut oil will liquefy, but below 80, it'll hold itself. And remember, your body's at 98.6. So there's nothing solid in your body except the actual fat itself. Now, the very last point they made was, we have to take care of each other. And here's that eyeball I was giving you. Don't give me that nonsense about take care of each other. Okay, that's a euphemism for, I'm going to abuse the law to force you to do something in order to protect myself. That's what they mean when they say protect each other, all right? And I tell this story, and I'll continue to tell this story. If I were 80, I would never, ever tell somebody, well, you're in your 20s and 30s, and because I can die at 80, you have to stay home. You have to jump through all these hoops. You have to spill all. You have to give everything away to the government. No, man. If I were 80 and I were nervous, I would hide in my room until it's all over. Okay? I think I can talk about the bubonic plague. I can't talk about other things, but I will talk about the bubonic plague. This is all over Wiki, for Christ's sake, right? Consider this, okay? I'm alive, right? And I know two people, okay? And one of them dies. And every 2 people I know, since I'm still alive and I can see this, out of every 2 people I know, 1 dies. Okay? That's 1/3. Okay? That's how many people died during the bubonic plague. Okay? I'm just going to tell you the only person that I even remotely know that kicked the bucket since March of 2020 is some really big fat lady that lived down my street. And I guarantee, God blessed to you, she died because she was a big fat pig. Period. Okay? Fat shaming? I was fat. Okay? But what I did was I started taking advice from people who weren't fat. Here in Mexico, we have a serious problem. I remember years past, nutritionists, number 1, they were all female, and number 2, they were all sticks. Here, every nutritionist I know is a big, fat pig. For Christ's sake, it's like, man, do you actually follow your own diet? And if you don't, why not? And if you do, why would I want to follow anything you're telling me? Duh. So here's how we can help each other. Why don't you take my advice? Now, my dad said it's worth the price, right? You didn't pay anything for this, right? So it's free advice. Yeah, it's worth the price. But look, go back to my video in May. Go back to my videos in May and look at me. And now look at me here. Go ahead. Okay, here's how we help each other. I suggest to you that you are doing it wrong because I was doing it wrong. Okay? So, what I can share with you is, like I said, here's how I help you. Here's how you help me. Okay? Number 1, get rid of added sugars. Bye. All of it. Look on the labels. If it says sugar, don't eat it. Yeah. What if a doctor told you to do that? You know you would do it. You'd be like, you just had a heart attack and you have to do this, and this. Oh, yes, doctor, I will. Okay, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just some goofball that actually knows how it works and did it. And I'm not going to charge you and I'm not going to medicate you because I can't. I don't have any of those credentials. Hell no. So get rid of anything that says sugar on it. High fructose corn syrup. Natural flavors. Okay? Modified food starch. Don't touch it. Say goodbye. Matter of fact, everything I eat doesn't have a label. Yesterday, I ate all kinds of stuff that didn't have a label. Yeah, I know I did. And today I'm going to eat stuff that didn't have a label. My meat didn't have a label on it. The onions, the green tomatoes, the garlic, the olive oil did not have a label on it. Well, it had a label because it had to say it's from Spain. But when you know all they did is go and put it in a bottle, okay, that's not processing. That's quite literally and putting it in a bottle. And it's actually good for you. Now, I know I said you go and you put it in a bottle with a fruit. That's different because the actual commodity is different. Yeah, you have to use your brains a little bit. Just, okay. So next you're going to get rid of anything that has a grain in it. Rice, bread, tortillas. I can't think of much else that Americans will eat. Do not put flours to thicken your sauces. Just boil your sauce down and add butter to it. It will be delicious and thick. All right, just be careful of the amount of salt you start with because obviously the salt concentration increases. Not because salt's bad, just because it's going to taste a little salty. And the last thing I can tell you, those stupid vegetable oils, get rid of them. I swear, if you just ate butter and ghee, which is really just super clarified butter, coconut oil, or it comes in a big jar, it's white, and it's delicious. Lard, olive oil, okay? And any natural fats that come with the meat. The chicken has schmaltz, the lamb has suet, the beef is tallow, the pork is lard. I mean, so and the fish, I don't know what the fat in fish is called. It's just fatty fish, you know. So if you will do that, you'll be in great shape. All right. And again, to recap the entire video here, this was all in line with the first government that I know publicly that has said, in order to help you help yourself, you need to get your body in order. Okay? So upon doing that, I think you'll be in good shape. And again, how do we help ourselves? We don't abuse the law. We don't hire police officers to stick guns in people's faces and say, if you don't do this, we're gonna. All right? Now that's ridiculous. We've known that's been stupid since 1850. One day, let me know, and I'll tell you about a guy named Frederick Bastiat from France. Fantastic, fantastic pamphlet he wrote. So how do we help ourselves? We go rah, 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 low carb, high fat. Start eating the way the body needs to eat. And you will boost everything your body's supposed to boost and get rid of everything your body's supposed to get rid of. We will catch you on the next one, guys.